All right, ready to have our minds blown. Today we're diving into The Quantum Mind by Asif Iqbal to explore the wild intersection of quantum physics and consciousness.
It really is a fascinating area to explore.
We're talking parallel universes, the power of observation, even the idea that our brains might work like quantum computers.
What I find particularly intriguing is that we're acknowledging the vast unknown here. We're comfortable with classical physics for our everyday lives, gravity, electricity, those make sense.
They're at the
But then we
basics.
zoom into the subatomic level and things get very, very strange. Quantum mechanics takes over. And what Iqbal's book dives into is, what if consciousness itself is intertwined with this quantum weirdness, not just a product of our brains?
Okay, you had me at quantum weirdness. So you're suggesting our brains might not just be like computers, but like quantum computers.
Exactly. Imagine, instead of just electrical signals between neurons, our brains might be using quantum processes, things like superposition and entanglement.
Okay, before we get ahead of ourselves, back up for a second. What exactly are superposition and entanglement, and how do they relate to, well, anything I can wrap my head around?
Fair enough. Let's start with superposition. Imagine a particle existing in multiple states at the same time. Think of a coin spinning in the air. It's not heads or tails until it lands.
Okay, I get that.
So in quantum mechanics, particles exist in this blurry state of possibilities until we observe them. And then, boom, one possibility becomes real.
So until I observe a particle, it's basically saying, could be this, could be that, who knows?
In essence, yes. Now let's add entanglement to the mix. This is where it gets really wild. Picture two particles, potential light years apart, linked. If you change something about one, its entangled partner instantly mirrors that change, regardless of distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance.
Okay, that's a little creepy. But how does this entanglement relate to, say, my brain deciding what to eat?
Well, some scientists theorize that this entanglement might be happening within our brains, allowing for those crazy fast connections between different areas that let us process information, make decisions, and just experience the world.
So are you saying my sudden craving for a donut isn't just my stomach, but potentially some kind of entangled particle party happening in my brain?
You got it. It's a pretty radical idea, but it could explain how our brains handle such complex tasks so quickly.
That is wild. So how do we even know if this is actually happening in our brains? Can we measure that?
That's the million-dollar question. Studying these super delicate quantum processes in something as complex as a living brain, it's incredibly difficult. But there are clues. For example, some chemical reactions happening in our brains seem like they might support quantum coherence.
Hold on. So there's actually evidence to suggest this isn't just theoretical, that our brains might actually be capable of this quantum weirdness.
Let's call it very intriguing evidence that has sparked a whole new area of research, quantum biology. It's very early days, but the possibilities are incredibly exciting.
Okay, that's exciting and also kind of terrifying, especially when you consider what Iqbal talks about in chapter 1 with the multiverse, infinite universes branching off with every quantum event.
Right.
So every time I actually do eat that donut, there's another universe out there where I chose the apple instead.
That's the essence of the many worlds interpretation. It's a mind-bending concept, and while we can't prove it right now, it does make you think about the nature of possibility in a whole new way.
Okay, so we've got these potential universes where every decision plays out, and my brain might be a quantum computer. Does it get any weirder?
Oh, we're just getting started.
Oh, no.
If the multiverse and the brain as a quantum computer weren't enough, buckle up because Chapter 4 dives even deeper.
Okay.
What if these quantum processes in our brains aren't just isolated events, but part of a larger, interconnected web of consciousness?
Wait, hold on. Are you suggesting my consciousness, my thoughts, my feelings could be entangled with other minds?
It might sound like science fiction, but it's a question some scientists are taking very seriously.
Okay.
This idea of entangled consciousness, that our minds could be linked through these same quantum principles that can connect particles across vast distances.
So you're saying, like, my sudden urge to call my best friend isn't just me missing them, but maybe some kind of quantum signal between our brains?
Exactly.
All right, that's both amazing and slightly terrifying.
Right.
But before we go full X-Men, how do we even begin to untangle this idea of interconnected consciousness?
Well, Iqbal points to some pretty interesting research. For example, there are studies looking at whether things like meditation, even certain psychedelic experiences, where people report a sense of interconnectedness,
Right, right.
might show measurable correlations in brain activity between individuals.
So that feeling of oneness some people describe, that feeling of being connected to something bigger than themselves. Could that actually be rooted in quantum entanglement? Not just like a metaphor, but an actual physical phenomenon.
That's the big question. We're still in very early days here
Hmm?
and far from having definitive answers.
Yeah.
But the possibility alone is just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. If we could actually prove scientifically that our minds aren't just islands, but part of this interconnected web of consciousness, that would be huge.
A paradigm shift.
Total paradigm shift. Okay, my brain needs a break from interconnected minds for a second. What other mind-bending concepts does Iqbal explore?
Well, if you're ready to go even deeper, Chapter 5 takes us into the realm of multiversal consciousness.
Multiversal consciousness. You're going to have to explain that one.
Okay, imagine this. What if your consciousness, what you perceive as you, isn't confined to just this universe, but stretches across the multiverse, existing in infinite variations across those infinite branching timelines?
Hold on. So you're saying there's a version of me out there who actually listened to my parents and went to law school instead of pursuing, this,
It's possible.
and another me who joined the circus,
Maybe.
and they're all me somehow.
It really challenges our traditional view of a single self. What does it mean to be you if there are countless versions of you all experiencing different possibilities?
Okay, this is a lot. So it's not like exact copies of me running around, but more like I'm this tapestry of experiences across realities.
That's an interesting way to put it.
I don't know if that makes me feel better or more confused.
It's a mind-bending idea for sure,
Mm.
but it has profound implications.
Like what kind of implications?
Well, for one, it makes you think about choice and consequence in a whole new light. If every decision spawns a new universe where a different version of you experiences the outcome, what does that mean for your sense of responsibility?
Whoa. Okay, so it's not just me and my infinite selves, but the ripple effect of every choice we make, right?
Exactly.
Suddenly, like choosing what to eat feels like a pretty major cosmic event.
Right. The butterfly effect on a whole new level. Every action, no matter how small, could have unimaginable consequences across the multiverse.
That's both humbling and a little terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, I think my brain is still recovering from that whole multiversal consciousness thing. Infinite versions of me, different choices, different lives. I need a quantum physics manual just to get through the day now.
It's a lot to process, for sure. But one of the things I appreciate about how Iqbal explores the quantum mind is how it connects with these big questions philosophers and spiritual traditions have been grappling with for centuries.
Totally. Like the idea of interconnectedness or that maybe our perceptions shape reality. Those aren't exactly new concepts, right? You see
Mm.
those in Buddhism, Hinduism.
Exactly. And Iqbal does a great job highlighting those parallels in Chapter 6. He talks about, for instance, the concept of emptiness in Buddhism,
Oh, interesting.
which often throws people off because it's not about nothingness. It's about potential, the potential for things to become something else. And that really resonates with quantum superposition, that state of pure possibility before things are observed.
Right, like that whole saying, everything is nothing, nothing is everything. Who knew I'd be quoting Eastern philosophy in a conversation about quantum physics? But it does seem like they're both pointing to a reality that's way more fluid, way more dynamic, way more interconnected than we usually think about.
And a reality where consciousness might be much more active than we thought, not just observing, but actually shaping reality itself. Which brings us to the final chapter of Iqbal's book, where he dives into the ethical implications of all of this.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting and maybe a little, I don't know, unnerving. Because if we entertain this idea of infinite versions of ourselves in the multiverse, making every possible choice, does that kind of let us off the hook in this reality? Like, why bother trying to be a good person if some version of me is out there already winning Nobel Prizes?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Does the multiverse, the possibility of these infinite selves, diminish our responsibility in this reality? Iqbal doesn't offer easy answers, but he does encourage us to consider a more expansive view of ethics.
What do you mean expansive? How so?
Well, if consciousness itself could be interconnected, even across these different theoretical universes, maybe our ethical obligations extend beyond just our individual actions in this one. What if our choices have ripple effects, not just in our own lives, but across this web of consciousness?
Okay, so I can get behind the idea that our actions have far-reaching consequences, even without the multiverse. But you're saying it could be even bigger than that we have a responsibility to, like, all the versions of ourselves out there.
It's a pretty radical thought, isn't it?
Mm.
This kind of cosmic solidarity, that we're all in this mind-blowing, reality-bending existence together.
Wow. I've got to be honest, I started this deep dive hoping to understand the quantum mind a little better. I think I just have more questions now. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, right?
That's the beauty of it. I don't think Iqbal's book was ever meant to give us all the answers.
Sure.
It's about igniting that curiosity, that sense of wonder, and just encouraging us to explore these big questions. The quantum mind, with all its strangeness and mystery, it's a vast, uncharted territory, and we're just starting to explore it.
Who knows what we'll find, right? Maybe by understanding the quantum world, we'll finally unlock the secrets of consciousness itself and our place in this grand, interconnected cosmos. Well, that was quite a journey. Big thanks to our expert for guiding us through the twists and turns of the quantum mind. And all of you listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those questions coming.